You know how sometimes artsy films feel pretentious and full of style with no substance? Well, I just watched a very artsy and bizarrely odd film called A Desert. It's visually enveloping and strangely hypnotic, but is there anything to the story? A photographer's road trip takes a dark turn when he befriends a reckless couple, plunging him into a nightmarish spiral of unpredictable horror. So this features a limited cast and sparse locations. We follow Kai Lennox's character Alex as he is trying to rekindle his inspiration as a professional photographer. He's on this rudimentary road trip where he's abandoned his cell and GPS in favor of letting the road just guide him, hoping to discover some visually attractive spots that are worthy of capturing on film. As he is staying at a motel one night, he encounters a rowdy and sketchy couple who endear themselves to him, all the while our own internal alarm bells are just ringing at full volume that something seems amiss, and Alex, he really shouldn't be letting his guard down. Now, the couple is played by Zachary Ray Sherman and Ashley Smith, with Sherman creating this persona that is mysterious, somewhat traumatizing, but also inexplicably charismatic. We can tell right from the get-go that something is a bit off, but he has this smooth way of ingratiating himself into Alex's outing, all while soothing any qualms Alex begins to feel about his new road trip buddy. And again, as the audience, even though we don't have any solid basis for the hair standing on end, the way Sherman crafts his character, it is unsettling. And then the story transitions so that we focus on a private investigator who is hired to find a missing person. The dialogue that he shares with his client is strange. I mean, it's stunted and strained, with these awkward phrases that could either be the result of poor writing or the genius insertion of further wonkiness that is just made to keep us emotionally off kilter. Now, I'm hoping it's the latter because it does instill one more level of uneasiness, providing us with just another character who could be sketchy as heck. Now, scattered throughout the film are discombobulating images that I think were trying their best to induce a seizure. We get flashing lights, inaudible screams that just are covered by discordant music, and then color shifts that mess with our equilibrium. And I loved the mood this established, adding even more oddness to an already weird story. And there are also bursts of extreme violence. You can feel the buildup to most of these, but they're still somewhat shocking just thanks to the abruptness in which the actions are carried out. One scene in particular, it is viciously brutal, but it's not gory. We watch action and know full well what's going on, but we're not shown the carnage. And this allows the camera to focus uninterrupted on the attacker, showing us the unimpeded rage and savagery that the character possesses. And then as suddenly as this happens, the scene is over, and we're treated to an ambiguous moment that might convey a certain horror genre, but one that's not confirmed. Now, I think the choppiness of the storytelling, mixed with a lot of the vague plot elements and then slow pacing, end up harming a lot of the enjoyment for this wild ride of a movie. The acts feel almost like vignettes that are then smashed together through intersecting characters, but they rely heavily on a level of character engagement that the development doesn't provide. When we arrive at the final act, the scenes are disturbing and ominous, but they're also lacking explanation of any sort, creating unidentified chaos within the plot. Now, I am all for a choose-your-own-adventure type story, but this one is completely devoid of any rationale or context. We're not provided with any character motivations. And while the lack of explanation can make a character terrifying, sort of like Anton Chigurh, here, the underlying tale, it's also lacking its meaning. And when the movie concludes, I wasn't left with a feeling of awe at the brilliant plot construction or the creative character development. Instead, I was pretty sure the story didn't know where it intended to go, or even what its point was. And so, in an effort to make the arcs feel more elevated, they're stripped of any sort of exposition or reasoning and then left us with undetermined plot points and the idea that we are to derive our own meaning from what we watched. Don't get me wrong here. I love a story that makes me think or creates discussion. But for this, the only discussion I could have was why the heck did I just spend an hour and 43 minutes on this pointless and directionless supposed work of art? I mean, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of praise for this by some of the highbrow outlets, hailing the ingenuity and creativity. But even for those that enjoy a wide range of genres and ideas, I think this is a big stretch to call this anything other than a stylistic waste of time. Despite the grim personas and the sparse and lonely visuals, this was a disappointment and just a chunk of my life that I can't ever get back. There's sex, nudity, a ton of profanity, and some brutal violence. I give A Desert 1.5 out of 5 couches. I mean, maybe you're going to enjoy it more than me, but I won't ever go back to this again. So are there any quiet or atmospheric horrors that you watched recently that you could recommend to me? I would love to hear about them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.